When Jake finds a cryptic email on his wife's laptop, his world shatters. Instead of rage, he chooses cunning. With a private investigator's help, he uncovers a web of deceit spun by a charming CrossFit coach. At the regional championship, Jake's plan unfolds, exposing the truth to hundreds. Will justice prevail without a single punch thrown? Jake Morales crouched beside a half-built pool in a Coral Gables backyard, measuring the depth with a laser tool. At 38, he'd earned a name as Miami's top contractor, turning empty lots into backyard havens. His clients relied on his precision, his ability to deliver exactly what they envisioned. His marriage to Sophia, a 36-year-old marketing strategist, felt like another successful project. 12 years of shared goals, from weekend kayaking trips to saving for a condo in Key Biscayne. They had a rhythm, her teasing him about his endless work calls, him chuckling at her obsession with crime documentaries. But lately, Sophia's habits shifted. She clutched her phone tightly, angling it away when Jake walked by. Her CrossFit sessions at a downtown gym dragged late, often past 10 p.m., with mumbled excuses about needing to unwind. One sticky Friday night, Jake needed her laptop to finalize a client proposal. His own computer was tied up with a software update, and the deadline loomed. He grabbed her MacBook from the dining table, its screen awake with an open email. The subject, still thinking about last night. His chest tightened. The message was short. You were incredible. Can't wait for more. D. Jake's breath caught. Sophia was upstairs, singing softly in the shower, unaware. He scanned the words again, each one a sharp jolt. Who was D? Why was this email open? He shut the laptop, his hands steady despite the churn in his gut. Storming upstairs would be easy, but reckless. He needed clarity, not chaos. He stepped onto the patio and called Luis Garcia. Luis, a former Miami-Dade detective now working as a private investigator, had been Jake's friend since their teens at South Miami High. While Jake built pools, Luis chased truths, first on the force, now solo. They hadn't talked in a while, but trust ran deep. I need your help, Jake said, keeping his voice low. He described the email, Sophia's secretive behavior, the late gym nights. Luis asked pointed questions, times, places, patterns, then said, 2 weeks. I'll get answers. Act normal. Jake agreed, hanging up as Sophia's footsteps echoed downstairs. She asked if he wanted takeout. He nodded, masking his unease, already planning his next move. Monday morning, Jake was at a job site in Wynwood, overseeing a crew installing a mosaic tile border. He moved through measurements and timelines, his focus sharp on the outside. Inside, questions swirled. Was Sophia distant because of work pressure, as she claimed? Or was something else brewing? He recalled her recent quirks, new workout playlists, a sudden fixation on meal prepping, quick dashes to the bathroom after gym sessions. Each felt like a puzzle piece, incomplete without context. Luis's first update came 4 days later via text. Sophia spending time with Diego Alvarez. Attached was a photo of Sophia outside CrossFit Miami, chatting closely with a fit, confident man. Diego, 34, was the gym's star coach, known for viral workout videos and a loyal following. Jake studied the image, Sophia's easy smile, Diego's lingering hand on her shoulder. It wasn't proof, but it was enough to keep Luis on the trail. Over tacos that evening, Jake tested her. How's the gym going? You're there a lot. Sophia paused mid-bite. It's tough, but good, she said, eyes on her plate. Diego's intense. Says it's about mindset, not just reps. Her voice was casual, but Jake caught a slight waver. He shifted topics, mentioning a client's request for a custom fountain, but his mind logged her words. Luis called on day 7, his tone serious. Diego's not just with Sophia. He's meeting other women, all married, all from the gym. Jake, standing in his truck at a site, gripped the phone. How many, he asked. 3 so far, Luis said. I'm tracking their messages, locations. He's slick, uses encrypted apps. Jake's suspicion hardened into focus. Diego wasn't just cheating. He was calculated, targeting vulnerabilities. The email Jake found, it was from Sophia's boss, Daniela, praising a campaign. A misstep, but it didn't erase the photos of Sophia and Diego. Jake kept his routine airtight, morning site visits, evening dinners with Sophia. He laughed at her stories, hid his growing file of evidence. Luis sent more, a shot of Sophia and Diego at a juice bar, her wedding ring missing, dangling from a chain in his car. The image stung, but Jake saved it to an encrypted folder on his work laptop. He noticed Diego's name creeping into Sophia's chatter. Always the coach. Never personal, but too frequent. Jake stayed silent, collecting data. Luis uncovered Diego's fake Instagram, filled with coded messages to Sophia and others, like meet for a post-workout stretch. One to Sophia read, 8 p.m. Tomorrow, usual spot. Bring that energy. Jake stared at the screenshot, his anger sharpening into strategy. The Miami CrossFit Championship, where Diego was a headliner, was 2 weeks away. Jake told Luis to dig deeper. Map Diego's network. Check gym rosters, social media. This isn't just my fight, Jake said. Others are getting hurt. Luis agreed, promising a full dossier before the event. Jake wasn't planning a confrontation. He was building a case, and the championship would be the perfect stage. Jake Morales leaned against his truck at a Pinecrest job site, the midday sun beating down as he reviewed a pool drainage plan. His phone buzzed with a new message from Luis Garcia, the private investigator he'd hired to probe his wife Sophia's secretive behavior. The text was brief. Got more on Diego. Meet me tonight, 7 p.m., my office. Jake pocketed the phone and returned to directing his crew, his calm exterior masking the storm brewing inside. For a week, he'd maintained his routine. Early mornings at construction sites, evenings with Sophia, acting as if nothing was amiss. But Luis's updates painted a troubling picture. Sophia's late-night CrossFit sessions and guarded phone habits pointed to Diego Alvarez, the gym's magnetic coach, whose charm seemed to ensnare more than just Sophia. At 7 p.m., Jake pulled into the lot of Luis's small office in Dade City. Luis, a wiry ex-cop with a knack for uncovering secrets, wasted no time. He plugged a USB drive into his laptop, pulling up a folder labeled Alvarez. The screen filled with images, Sophia and Diego exiting a downtown Miami cafe, their hands brushing as they crossed the street. Diego with another woman at a gas station, her wedding ring glinting, a third woman laughing with him outside a hotel. He's running the same playbook, Luis said, clicking through timestamps. 3 women, all married, all CrossFit clients. He uses a burner app for encrypted texts, schedules meetups when husbands are at work. Jake's jaw tightened as he watched a video clip. Sophia climbing into Diego's SUV after a workout, her gym bag slung over her shoulder. The footage was dated 3 days ago. Luis leaned back, folding his arms. Diego's not sloppy, but he's not invisible. I hacked his secondary Instagram. Fake name, private settings. He's messaging these women with coded phrases like extra reps tomorrow or meet for recovery. I've got logs of his chats with Sophia and 2 others, Elena Cruz and Marisol Vega. Jake recognized the names from Sophia's gym stories, her workout buddies. Luis pulled up a screenshot. Diego to Sophia, midnight stretch session, my place. You know the vibe. Jake's stomach twisted, but he stayed silent, absorbing every detail. Luis added, I cross-referenced gym schedules. Diego's targeting women in the 6 p.m. class, all in stable marriages, all with busy husbands. Jake nodded, his mind racing. This wasn't a one-off betrayal. Diego was a predator, exploiting trust with precision. Back home, Sophia was scrolling through her phone on the couch, oblivious to Jake's late return. Long day? She asked, barely looking up. Client needed a last-minute fix, Jake replied, grabbing a water from the fridge. He watched her fingers dance across the screen, likely messaging Diego. Over dinner, she mentioned the gym again, praising Diego's motivational talks that pushed her to break limits. Jake listened, nodding, but each word fueled his resolve. He excused himself to his home office, where he added Luis's files to his encrypted folder, photos, texts, video timestamps, all cataloged by date and name. The evidence was mounting, but Jake needed more to expose the full scope of Diego's game. The next morning, Jake met a client in Brickell to discuss a lap pool design. Between measurements, his phone pinged with Luis's next update. Diego had a pattern of booking short-term rentals for private coaching sessions. One address, a condo in Midtown, appeared in multiple receipts. Luis traced it to a booking under a fake name, paid via a prepaid card. Jake's mind flashed to Sophia's recent girls' night at a friend's condo, same neighborhood. He texted Luis to stake out the location. By evening, Luis sent a new photo. Diego and Marisol Vega entering the condo, her car parked discreetly in the back. Jake saved the image, his anger sharpening into a plan. The Miami CrossFit Championship, where Diego was a star competitor, was 10 days away. It drew crowds, sponsors, and media, a perfect stage to unveil the truth. Luis called with a breakthrough. Diego's burner app has a flaw. he said. I cracked its backup server. He's juggling 5 women now, not 3. 2 more names, Carla Diaz and Vanessa Ortiz. Both married, both in his evening class. Jake sat in his truck, stunned. The web was wider than he'd imagined. Luis emailed a new file. Chat logs where Diego used near-identical lines on each woman, promising personal growth and unlocking potential. One message to Sophia read, "You're stronger than your limits. Meet me Friday, 9 p.m., you'll see." Jake cross-checked the date. It matched a night Sophia claimed she was at a work event. The lies stacked up, each one a brick in Jake's growing case. At a job site the next day, Jake overheard 2 workers discussing the championship, hyping Diego's odds. Jake's mind churned. Exposing Diego publicly could shatter Sophia's trust and free others from his grip. He called Luis to strategize. "We need undeniable proof, something that hits hard," Jake said. Luis suggested tapping a contact, Carlos, a freelance AV tech who worked local events. "He can get us into the championship system," Luis said. "We could project the evidence during Diego's big moment." Jake agreed, but insisted on anonymity. No one could trace it back to him. Carlos was skeptical until Luis shared a sample of the evidence. "This guy's a snake," Carlos texted. "I'm in." That night, Sophia came home late, her gym bag slung over her shoulder. She mentioned Diego casually, saying he'd invited the class to watch him compete. "You should come," she said, smiling. Jake shrugged. "Maybe, if I wrap up work early." Inside, his plan solidified. He wasn't after revenge. He wanted justice, not just for himself, but for every husband blindsided by Diego's schemes. In his office, he reviewed the evidence. Photos of Diego with each woman, chat logs, rental receipts. One detail caught his eye. A group chat where Sophia, Elena, and Marisol planned a team outing to the championship, unaware they were all Diego's targets. The irony stung, but it gave Jake an edge. The event would be their undoing, and Diego's carefully built world would collapse under the weight of his own lies. Jake Morales stood at a South Miami job site, finalizing a pool pump installation as the Miami CrossFit Championship loomed 3 days away. His phone vibrated with a message from Luis Garcia, his private investigator. "Carlos is set. AV system access confirmed. Meet tonight to review the plan." Jake nodded to his crew, his calm demeanor hiding the pulse of anticipation. For 10 days, he played the role of steady husband to Sophia, who remained unaware of his growing dossier on her and Diego Alvarez, the CrossFit coach weaving a web of affairs with married women. Luis's evidence, photos, encrypted chats, rental receipts, had revealed Diego's calculated seduction of 5 women, including Sophia, all from the same gym class. Jake's goal wasn't just personal closure. He aimed to expose Diego publicly, protecting others from his predatory tactics. That evening, Jake met Luis and Carlos at a quiet diner in Hialeah. Carlos, a wiry AV tech with a knack for event systems, laid out a laptop showing the championship's broadcast setup. The main screen runs on a looped feed, Carlos explained, pointing to a diagram. "I've embedded a sequence, your files, time to play during Diego's opening pose. Photos, texts, names, all synced." Jake scrolled through the mock-up. A slideshow of Diego with Sophia at a parking lot. Another with Elena Cruz at a bar, Marisol Vega entering a condo, each frame stamped with dates. A text overlay read, "Diego Alvarez, serial affairs with married women." Jake's chest tightened at Sophia's image, her smile unguarded, but he pushed forward. "No one traces this to us?" he asked. Carlos nodded. "Remote trigger, encrypted upload. It'll look like a hack." Luis added, "I've got backups on a secure drive. If this goes south, we're clean." The next day, Jake kept his routine tight, inspecting a filtration system in Kindle while Sophia prepped for the championship, buzzing about Diego's big moment. She mentioned a group outing with her gym friends, unaware they were Diego's other targets. Jake nodded, saying he might stop by if work allowed. At night, he met Luis again, this time to finalize the evidence. Luis revealed a new find. Diego had a side hustle, charging women for exclusive coaching sessions that doubled as cover for meetups. Receipts showed payments from Sophia and Vanessa Ortiz, funneled through a shell PayPal account. Jake added the data to his encrypted folder, now bulging with proof. Hundreds of messages, dozens of photos, and location logs. The scale of Diego's deception stunned him. This wasn't just betrayal, but a deliberate enterprise. On championship morning, Jake arrived at the Miami Beach Convention Center an hour early, blending into the crowd of athletes, families, and sponsors. The gym hummed with energy, banners touting Diego as the favorite, his face plastered on posters. Jake spotted Sophia in the stands with Elena and Marisol, chatting excitedly, oblivious to the storm brewing. He took a seat near the back, cap low, heart steady. Luis texted, "Carlos is in the control booth. Ready on your signal." Jake replied, "Go." The event kicked off with warm-ups, the crowd cheering as Diego's name boomed over the speakers. He strode onto the stage, waving confidently, basking in the applause. The giant screen behind him played his highlight reel, lifts, sprints, motivational clips. Then, the screen flickered. For 3 seconds, it went black. The crowd hushed, expecting a glitch. Instead, the first image flashed, Diego and Sophia in a car, her hand on his arm, time-stamped last Tuesday. Gasps rippled through the audience. The next slide showed Marisol at a hotel entrance, then Elena at a cafe, each labeled with names and marriage details. Text appeared, Diego Alvarez, exploiting trust, destroying families. The gym erupted in murmurs. Diego froze mid-pose, his eyes darting to the screen. Sophia, in the stands, clutched her phone, her face draining of color. The slideshow rolled on. Chat logs, payment receipts, a clip of Diego entering the Midtown condo with Carla Diaz. Sponsors in the front row whispered furiously, one already typing on a tablet. The crowd's shock turned to outrage. Phones raised to record the unfolding scandal. Diego signaled frantically to the stage crew, but Carlos had locked the system. The sequence ended with a final message, 5 marriages betrayed. How many more? The screen cut to a technical error notice, but the damage was done. Spectators shouted Diego's name, some with anger, others in disbelief. Security moved toward him as he backed away, stumbling off the stage. Jake watched, motionless, as Sophia shrank in her seat, Elena and Marisol exchanging panicked glances. The plan had worked. Diego's facade crumbled in front of hundreds, and the truth hit harder than any confrontation could. Jake slipped out a side exit, his phone buzzing with Luis's message. "It's done. Phase 2 starts now." Jake Morales stood outside the Miami Beach Convention Center, the chaos of the CrossFit Championship fading behind him as he slid into his truck. The giant screen's expose, images of Diego Alvarez with Sophia and 4 other married women, had ignited the crowd. Social media was already ablaze, clips of the scandal spreading faster than Jake had anticipated. His phone buzzed with a text from Luis Garcia. "Sponsors are pulling out. Diego's done. Head home, it's time." Jake drove to their Coral Gables house, his mind sharp despite the weight of what came next. For weeks, he'd built a case against Diego, the gym coach who preyed on married women, including Sophia, his wife of 12 years. The public takedown was only half the plan. Now, he'd face Sophia. At home, Jake waited in the kitchen, her suitcase packed by the door, a folder of divorce papers on the table. Sophia arrived an hour later, her gym bag slung over her shoulder, eyes red from crying. She froze at the sight of the suitcase, then looked at Jake. "You did this," she whispered, voice trembling. Jake didn't flinch. "You did this," he replied, sliding the folder toward her. "I just showed the truth." Sophia sank into a chair, hands shaking as she opened it. "Legal documents, asset splits, no contest." She stammered. "It was a mistake, Jake. Diego, he made us all feel special, like we mattered. I didn't mean for it to go this far." Jake listened, his face unreadable. She admitted the affair began months ago, sparked by Diego's attention during workouts, his texts promising a new you. She swore it was a fling, not love, but the words rang hollow. Jake pointed to the door. "Sign and go. You made your choice." As Sophia pleaded, Jake's phone pinged with an update from Luis. Diego's Shell PayPal account, used for private coaching payments, linked to a local bank. One of the women, Vanessa Ortiz, had paid thousands, unaware it funded Diego's secret rentals. Jake forwarded the evidence to a lawyer friend, who confirmed it could support fraud charges. Sophia, oblivious to this, kept talking, claiming Diego's charm was just part of the gym culture. Jake cut her off. "5 women, Sophia. 5 marriages. He played you all, and you hid it from me." She crumpled, tears falling, but Jake's resolve held. He handed her a pen, and she signed the papers, her hand unsteady. She grabbed the suitcase and left for her sister's house in Kendall, the door clicking shut behind her. The next morning, Jake met Luis at a coffee shop in Coconut Grove. Luis shared new findings. Diego's fake Instagram had messages to a 6th woman, a judge's wife, who'd rebuffed him but kept screenshots as leverage. Her husband, a Miami-Dade official, was already pushing for an investigation into Diego's finances. Jake nodded, adding the screenshots to his encrypted drive. He wasn't done. Diego's exposure needed to protect others. Luis suggested contacting the other husbands. Jake reached out to Rafael Cruz, Elena's husband, a landscaper he'd worked with on a past project. Over lunch, Jake shared select evidence, photos, texts, nothing about Sophia. Rafael's face hardened as he recognized Elena in a hotel parking lot. She's been distant, he admitted. I thought it was work stress. Jake offered the lawyer's contact, urging discretion to avoid public shame. By afternoon, Jake learned the championship organizers had banned Diego, and 2 sponsors filed complaints for breach of contract. Social media posts branded him a homewrecker, with leaked clips gaining thousands of shares. Jake avoided the online frenzy, focusing on action. He met Carlos, the AV tech, to ensure their tracks were covered. Carlos confirmed the hack was untraceable, the control booth's logs wiped clean. But Carlos had dug deeper, finding Diego's calendar with coded entries for sessions at a new rental in Brickell. Jake tasked Luis with staking it out, suspecting Diego might try to salvage his network. That evening, Luis sent a photo. Diego meeting a gym client, not one of the 5, at the rental. The woman, a single mother, wasn't a romantic target. Diego was pitching her a coaching franchise scam, promising quick profits. Jake's anger flared, but he channeled it. He shared the new evidence with Rafael and 2 other husbands, Miguel Vega and Antonio Diaz, whose wives were also involved. They met at a quiet bar in Little Havana, faces grim as they reviewed the files. Miguel, a mechanic, revealed he'd found Diego's business card in Marisol's car, dated weeks before the affair. He planned this, Miguel said, voice low. Jake proposed a group effort. Pool their evidence, file a joint complaint for fraud and emotional distress, and let the courts handle Diego. All agreed, signing a pact to protect their family's privacy. Jake felt a shift, not just his pain, but a shared resolve to stop Diego's cycle of deceit. That night, Jake sat alone, reviewing his folder. The championship had shattered Diego's image, but the legal fight would bury him. Sophia texted, begging to talk, but Jake didn't reply. He'd forgiven her in his mind, not for her sake, but to free himself. The house felt empty, but not broken. He was already planning to sell it, start fresh. The next day, he'd meet the lawyer to finalize the divorce and push the fraud case. Diego's world was collapsing, and Jake's careful strategy ensured it would be permanent, without a single shout or fist raised. Jake Morales sat in his lawyer's office in downtown Miami, signing the final divorce papers. The CrossFit Championship expose had dismantled Diego Alvarez's world, revealing his affairs with Sophia and 4 other married women to a stunned crowd. Now, 2 weeks later, Jake focused on closing chapters. The lawyer, Maria Torres, confirmed the divorce was finalized, no disputes, clean asset split. Jake nodded, sliding the pen back across the desk. His Coral Gables home was on the market, and he'd already put a deposit on a modest condo in Coconut Grove. The weight of Sophia's betrayal lingered, but Jake channeled it into rebuilding, not resentment. Outside, he checked his phone. Luis Garcia, his private investigator, texted, Diego's case is moving. Fraud charges filed. Jake's evidence, bank records, fake coaching payments, coded messages, had been handed to authorities by the group of husbands, Rafael Cruz, Miguel Vega, and Antonio Diaz. Their joint complaint accused Diego of financial deception and emotional manipulation. A Miami-Dade judge, whose wife had nearly fallen for Diego's tactics, fast-tracked the case. Jake drove to a job site in Palmetto, where his crew was laying tiles for a luxury pool. Clients praised his focus, unaware of the storm he'd weathered. His reputation grew, landing him a contract for a community center's aquatic complex. Sophia, meanwhile, had moved to her sister's apartment in Kendall. She'd taken a part-time job at a marketing firm, a step down from her previous role. Jake heard through a mutual friend that she'd started therapy, grappling with her choices. She sent him a letter, apologizing for falling for Diego's charm, claiming it was a fleeting escape from routine. Jake read it once, then filed it away. He didn't hate her. He'd let go to move forward. At night, he met Rafael at a diner in Doral. Rafael shared that Elena, his wife, was in counseling with him, trying to salvage their marriage. Miguel and Antonio had chosen divorce, but all 3 thanked Jake for sparking the truth. You saw the pattern, Rafael said. We were blind. Luis uncovered a new angle. Diego's coaching franchise pitch to a single mother was part of a broader scam. He'd solicited investments from gym clients, promising returns that never materialized. The mother, Ana Lopez, provided bank statements showing $5,000 wired to Diego's shell account. Jake passed this to Maria, who added it to the fraud case. The media caught wind, with local outlets running headlines. CrossFit star faces fraud allegations. Diego's social media accounts went silent, his sponsorships gone. A gym in Broward dropped his classes, and a civil suit from Antonio's lawyer sought damages for emotional distress. Diego relocated to Tampa, but online forums kept the story alive, branding him a manipulator. Jake's new condo became a quiet haven. He installed a small workbench, tinkering with pool designs in his free time. His neighbor, Clara Mendez, a widowed graphic designer, stopped by with coffee one evening. They talked about her freelance projects and his latest contract, their chats easy and unforced. Clara admired Jake's calm strength, never pressing about his past. Their porch conversations became a routine, not a romance, but a reminder that trust could rebuild slowly. Sophia, struggling to regain footing, faced whispers at her new job. Former gym friends, also exposed, drifted apart, some joining support groups for betrayed spouses. Sophia declined, choosing to face her consequences alone. Her sister pushed her to take accountability, refusing to coddle her. Diego's legal troubles mounted. A second fraud charge emerged when another client reported a $3,000 loss. The husband's collective evidence, meticulously gathered by Jake and Luis, ensured Diego's schemes unraveled in court. A plea deal loomed, with restitution and community service likely. Jake met Carlos, the AV tech, for lunch in Little Havana. Carlos confirmed the championship hack remained untraceable, their roles hidden. He'd taken a new gig at a music festival, inspired by the exposé's impact. "You didn't just stop him," Carlos said. "You saved families." Jake shrugged, but the words landed. His actions had rippled, protecting others from Diego's deceit. The community center contract expanded, with Jake overseeing a splash pad for kids. Clients cited his integrity, a quiet nod to his handling of the scandal. One evening, Jake sat on his condo's balcony, reviewing project plans. Clara joined him, sharing a story about a mural she'd designed for a school. They laughed, the first time Jake felt lightness in weeks. He didn't need vengeance. Exposing Diego had been enough. The truth had freed him, not just from Sophia's betrayal, but from carrying her choices. The husband stayed in touch, their group chat a space for updates on the case, not pain. Diego's name faded from Miami's fitness scene, his legacy a cautionary tale. Jake looked out at the city lights, his future open, built on the solid ground of his own resolve.